altcoin markets have been getting hammered in the past 12 months. So the question is it actually stupid to be into altcoins? And in this video, we're going to discuss whether that is actually a valid point. First of all, if you have been enjoying the extra update that we made earlier this week when we sold the position in Omni, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram and on X, because that is where we provide all those updates on the portfolio in such a transparent way that everybody can still find all the info that they need if they are following the portfolio. It's 2025 and the markets have been still been quite bad in the sense that we have been consolidating for a very long period right now. Yes, Ethereum has been doing great, but if we look at all the altcoins, for instance, Wormhole, it's still down 80% since the recent high in December of 2024. So technically speaking, if you would have invested into those coins during those highs, expecting a great return to come, yes, it's not the best decision to make. And that's why probably the anger is currently happening in the space. And the same can be seen for something like Optimism, which is still down 75%. And as you can see, we have been buying substantially higher with our portfolio than what the current valuation of the asset is. And in the upcoming update, I'll be discussing this a little bit more because I saw some, reflection on people that were saying, yeah, you've sold Omni at a big loss and you should have been keeping the position. This is something that we want to dive into in the next update because it's still all about the data that we have right now. And if the markets are going as volatile as they are and we can capitalize on that, we can generate an additional return. And on top of that, if we have a fundamental thesis about a project and that fundamental thesis hasn't been shifted over time, then the current valuations compared to the ones 6 months ago are actually the valuations that you want to get into those positions. So the title of this video is Being in Altcoins is Actually Stupid. It isn't strange. I think it's full of anger of people losing money while holding altcoins, expecting the big bull run to happen, expecting the big 100x to happen during this year, which isn't really happening. But this is a story and title which I've seen in the previous cycles. It's always the same. In 2020, I actually called myself stupid for being in altcoins just before they started to take off. I was questioning, is this still the right play to be into those altcoins and to get staking rewards, expecting them to go up, as my entire portfolio went down by like 80%. And in 2017, during those crashes, it was the same question. It's over, it's done. And then all of a sudden they start to go up. And it's quite similar to what we see in the media regarding Bitcoin being dead. I mean, there's a nice calculation by OKX on their post where Bitcoin has been called dead for more than 400 times, which is quite similar to most of the altcoins. They are being called dead at this point. And that is kind of where we are with the emotional waves of the cycle. Right now, we are still in the period where the Bitcoin dominance is super high and where people are depressed, not feeling great with the returns that they have in their portfolio if you are on the risk curve like we are. And the Bitcoin dominance is still relatively high, which brings me to an indicator that is always telling where the actual return is going to be and whether it's stupid or not to be into altcoins. And that is the altcoin season indicator, which we can see next to me. And if we look at the data and if we say, is this an altcoin year or a Bitcoin year? It is still at the lower points where it's around 25 and it's a scale from 0 to 100. And as you can see, back in 2021, there were periods that we were reaching 75 or higher. And that is usually the period where you need to capitalize on the gains that you've made while investing into altcoins during periods like right now. So instead of jumping into the markets when the altcoins are up a lot and are actually having their altcoin year, you should be jumping into it right now when nobody is interested into altcoins. So no, we are not in an altcoin bull run as of yet. We probably are at the start. At least we are in the Ethereum bull run, which is great. It's the first signal And then the question is it actually stupid to be into altcoins? And for that, we need to look at the data through the charts. So if we want to decide whether it's stupid to be into them, we need to look at historical price action, which we can see in the charts. And the first example that I have right now is, again, one of my favorites. It's Optimism, which has been having multiple cycles in the previous years. And it's funny though, it has been going down basically every year in the first 6 months, and then it starts to go up in the second half of the year. But as you can see, there are massive corrections taking place in 2022 from $2.25 all the way towards 70 cents. In 2023 from like $3.30 all the way towards $1. And then in 2024, we've seen the same happening. And in 2025, we've seen the same happening. What this chart is telling us is that during periods of consolidation and when it starts to bottom out, when there's more volume coming in, that is the period where you want to accumulate the position. And when it starts to shoot up, that's not the period where you want to get into it. Because when it starts to shoot up, you can yield yourself a return of around 300%. That is kind of where these peaks have been taking place, or like where it got to. In this case, we are currently stabilizing for more than 5 months. And that has been done in the previous period in 2023 and in 2022. So right now it's actually the period where you want to get into, especially if there are so many examples of optimism against Bitcoin making a bullish divergence, etc., etc. And if we look at historical examples, the same can be said of Litecoin against USDT, which, as you can see in 2020, we've had a tremendous run. Then it came back to the level of previously where it started to accumulate or bottom out. And then we started to have a massive run upwards, which is the trigger to realize that once things starts to go off, that's not the period to get into it. And right now we are basically doing the exact same. We are just consolidating beneath resistances. We are building up with that downtrend line. We are having additional volume in this period of accumulation. For instance, for Litecoin, there's likely going to be an ETF. So once it breaks through the range resistance, it is starting to shoot off in such a way that, for instance, with Ethereum, it's quite similar. We had a period of consolidation after a vertical move up. And during those periods of slight consolidative periods, it's very hard to get into the position. And to be honest, you have got the examples of Ethereum where you would have been able to buy ETH at like $1,600, or you would have been able to buy it at 2.3K. And now all of a sudden at 3.8, you would like to get into it, which is fairly large behind a lot of early investors. And it's not really the best way in terms of risk appetite to be buying it right now. So it's very hard to get into a position where the markets have been shooting up in a way that it has been previously. And the same can be said for anything like AVAX, which, as you can see in 2021 and 2020, in a very short window, it starts to go vertical. And we have seen the exact same in 2023 at the end of the year, where AVAX went from $10 all the way towards 70 without any correction. So those periods where things go flat, that is where you want to position yourself into the markets. Given the fact that if we look at the data, Ethereum against Bitcoin is heavily correlated to the price action of the Chinese currency. ETH against Bitcoin has just been bottoming out, has been showing a period of consolidation like we also have seen in 2019, which was the same period where the Chinese currency bottomed out. It resulted into a 2-year bull market on the entire crypto market. So in that sense, we are at the start of the actual bull run. So at this point in time, if we look at the data in itself, it is not really stupid to be into altcoins. It is very risky to be in them. But ultimately, as we can see in the data, and as we can see from previous examples of breaking out on those altcoins, it is ultimately going to result into a massive move upwards. And then probably a lot of retail investors are going to come in trying to chase the next big meme coin, or trying to chase coins that have already gone up by 300%. So conclusion in this part is that Ethereum moves first, the rest is going to follow through. Everything is still accumulating, and to be able to take risk, you need to be buying it when nobody is interested. The action on the track is heating up, and now it's your chance to be part of the action. OKX is the primary partner of the McLaren F1 team and is giving away official McLaren F1 team caps to new users, and there's more. You also have the chance to win one of the 3 VIP experiences in Zandvoort in full papaya style. And now this is what you need to do. You need to sign up to OKX using the link in the description beneath. You need to create an account. You need to make your first crypto trade, and then you will receive one of those caps at your home. And if you already have an account, if you refer a friend, you will also get one of those caps. These caps won't last forever, and the VIP experience won't last forever either. So you need to sign up before the 8th of August to be part of the entire challenge and to be part of this giveaway. It's a once in a lifetime, so make sure to join through the link in the description beneath, and perhaps we'll see each other in Zandvoort. The altcoins aren't really easy to trade. And the goal of this channel and my journey is to show how difficult it is, because usually what you see is that it's very easy to trade them, but it's just not the case. If something goes down 80%, it goes up 1000%, it's very volatile and therefore very risky. However, stating that it's stupid to be buying a certain asset class, while for instance Optimism is working with Robinhood, Arbitrum is working with Robinhood, Chainlink is doing all those things in the US, Aave is having 20 billion in treasury on the chain itself, it doesn't say that it's stupid to be investing into those coins. There's always a mispricing taking place, and at this point I think the prices are still relatively undervalued. So we have seen big movements on the altcoin portfolio this week. We have seen Omni going great, and that is just an example of what can happen if things turn the other way around. So there are great times, there are bad times, and during those bad times it's great to be accumulating your positions, to be front running everyone, and then you can capitalize on those breakouts like with Omni we did. So that's why I would like to be fully allocated into the markets at this point in time. I won't be chasing green candles. I won't be saying I want to keep Omni after it did it 200%. No, I'd rather want to wait for a correction to get back into it. And could I have been optimizing my trading? Yes, I could have been buying at the exact bottom, but nobody is able to do that. So that's why we are just providing a transparent and honest view on the altcoin portfolio. So I hope you have been enjoying this update. I'll see you again on Sunday. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Ciao.